This is Talking Planning.
Hello and welcome back to Talking Planning. So I'm just sitting on a train waiting to depart at Northgate Station. I am hopping over to Nunda, which is just one station away, because I want to show you something quite interesting, which I like to call a Brownfield blunder. It's a development that's gone ahead that's an infill on an existing site that, let's just say, some mistakes have been made. The mistakes with this development don't rest very heavily at all on the developer. And part of the clue in this is the fact that I'm sitting on a train. I'll also quickly point out that because of these new changes, I've already been sitting on this train waiting for 7 minutes and we still haven't moved from Northgate Station, and it's still another 6 minutes till we depart. So yeah, these filler trains, you do have to wait a while for them to pass on, and it's only a one-stop journey. So if I really thought about it, I quite possibly could have actually walked there faster than taking this train one stop. But now that I'm waiting now, I'm not going to just get off, forfeit this train which I've been waiting on for a while, waiting at Northgate Station, just to walk, because the train would still beat me anyway. Well, for those of you train nerds, this is SMU 245 and it's a suburban multiple unit, and it's been refurbished, and apart from the notoriously scratched windows, which basically every Queensland Rail train has now, it's in fairly good condition, and the seat fabric's nice, the floors are nice and clean, and certainly compared to many other QR trains I've caught, it's quite clean for an older model of train.
The reason I have to wait for one of these so-called filler trains is because when they built the new Redcliffe line, in order to speed up journeys, most of the trains that used to stop at Nunda now run express and stop only at Eagle Junction and Northgate. So there's very few services now stopping at Nunda compared to how many there used to be.
We're finally moving, but not for long, because I'm getting off in probably 30 seconds. Yeah, I waited 15 minutes nearly for a train ride that I'm going to be on board this train for a minute. And I'm whizzing past and I'm just thinking, I probably could have walked to this point by now in 15 minutes. Oh well, another train on the list for the day, so that's not too bad. There we go. Isn't it beautiful? Alright, so I'm just heading out of the station now, past a few interesting murals and bits of artwork, and once I get up these stairs, you'll get a clearer view of this housing estate. Sorry, not housing estate. This apartment complex, which is pretty cool, but it's a bit of a shame the way that a perhaps misguided decision by a railway provider has ended up leading to a fairly good property initiative being, a little bit ruined. Sometimes planning matters, service provisions, and levels of government don't always talk to each other, and it creates this perhaps unharmonious circumstance where a good idea gets ruined by poor execution. And of course, the shopping trolley is in its natural habitat. The front car park next to a power transformer.
Up the street there are more tall buildings, and if you pan across to the right, you will see a older style Queensland Rail sign for the Nunda station. You'll also see this IMU 100 series train going past as we cross the bridge. And you'll also see this rubbish which has been left behind.
And I just missed one of those, too.
In Nunda town centre you'll also find a Woolworths and some specialty shops. So let's take a walk down the old section of Sandgate Road and see what Nunda itself is like.
Reckons I should come back on a Sunday. And there's more apartments up there past the park and ride.
All I can say about this video making experience is I live in the bloody Sunshine State. How do I manage to pick almost all of the time a day that is cloudy or rainy to film? I mean, this has got to be just terrible luck, right? Alright, so let's do a bit of a summary on what I think about Nunda. So, this is a really tough one. I genuinely, personally like apartment living, but the thing that really concerns me with Nunda is there is a lot of good things. The streets have a surprising amount of greenery, as you would have just seen. There's a fairly good amount of amenities and services around. You know, the fact that there's a fairly decent size supermarket along with a large number of specialty stores, smaller retailers, cafes, bars, pubs, and places which you can go and enjoy is great. The one thing that really is kind of frustrating is the fact that there's so much emphasis being put into putting this development right near public transport to make it a convenient commuting location. And the merits of that would be fabulous. It's actually, from here, if I was to jump on a train, it would really only be 20 minutes into the CBD. They've put all this effort into making Nunda a really commuter-friendly place from a development perspective and having housing co-located with transport, but they've actually created a little bit of atmosphere, which is something that's often missing from it. But I suppose the frustrating thing is, with the introduction of these, the Redcliffe line, all the good work that the developer actually did with the designs, it's been undone by a different department of state government who ultimately is responsible for regulating this sort of behaviour. So I think that would be quite frustrating, both as a resident, but from a developer's perspective, you've actually lost the benefit that you sought to create in the community as well, which is a real shame. What I find challenging are the implications of that mistake. The fact that there are a lot of cars parked around on the street getting in the way, and it can be a bit unsightly, and the fact that there aren't necessarily the best footpaths directly around the station on the opposite side from most of the development means that when there's more and more cars, it makes it more and more awkward to walk as a pedestrian. So I guess that's a frustrating byproduct of that policy decision and change to transport schedules. But also, it kind of goes against the grain of what planners have been trying to reinforce for years, and even state governments, and that is that public transport is a sustainable, clean, enjoyable and efficient way of moving around. So in the sacrifice to make a particular service a couple of minutes faster, what's ended up happening is a large number of people living in a location that once was super convenient have lost some convenience in terms of the number of services and choices that they have to get to key destinations like Brisbane CBD. Now, the fact that they've put in a few of these sort of what I call filler trains, and these are services which are short hops, for example, the Northgate to Cannon Hill train, which provides extra services on these inner city stations, is good, but I don't think it replaces particularly well the all stops trains of old. I don't think it's as good as that ever was, which is a real shame. As you should know full well on this channel, I have also just found part of the elixir of life over behind me, or in front of me I should say, the bubbler. And as you know I should do on this channel, I'm going to test it out for you and make sure it's all good. Right, one bubbler review coming right up. Sadly, underwhelming, and I'll explain more in a second. Let's test the arc. And no real dog bowl, it's just a Chinese container that someone's left over. Sadly, it's a bit underwhelming, this one. The train in the background isn't though, but yeah. Wouldn't recommend this bubbler all that much, to be honest.
Heading over to Toombul now on a Great Circle Line bus, and out the window you'll see this really cool old Mercedes 0405 NH operated by Hornibrook Bus Lines. There's very few of these left, so it's a real treat seeing one out in the wild. I'm just heading over to Toombul where I'll change for a bus to head back home.
I'm just leaving Toombul now, which isn't Nunda, but it's very close by. So I want to say a big thank you for joining me on Talking Planning. See you again soon, and keep an eye out because I might have a few exciting things coming up.
Did you know on Talking Planning we release a brand new video every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time? Make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell to make sure that you're always up to date with the latest Talking Planning content. If you aren't already, you can also follow my adventures on Twitter and Instagram, both with the handle Talking Planning.